Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hello, it's Mike Matthews. Hi, I'm always adjusting things here at the beginning.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Of the podcast that's called Mike's Daily Podcast. How are you? It's Thanksgiving now. Did you have a good Thanksgiving? When you're listening to this, I am maybe living in the future and you're in the past, or vice versa. Ask me no questions, and then you know what'll happen?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
You won't get any answers. So that's what we get, is this podcast has an interesting song at the beginning.
Mike's
The last podcast picture
Daily
featured Basil the Boxer.
Podcast.
The podcast was called Listen, and it was a photo of Basil from 4 years ago. My lovely lady friend and I have since gone back to that spot. The day after I recorded that podcast, we went then to Half Moon Bay, almost to the exact spot that picture was taken with the late great Basil the Boxer. And you can see those pictures at mikesdailypodcast.com. I am cooking a turkey, sort of, here at Cafe anyway. And it is full. First off,
what in the world was that about?
Ina Gardner, is that it? She has a recipe. When you type into YouTube Thanksgiving recipe, hers pops up. It's like 4 minutes long, and it's basically the most basic turkey you could ever want. Just the basic, and that's what we're doing right now. So we'll see. You shove inside of the turkey, instead of stuffing, you put onions chopped, garlic clove chopped, and a lemon chopped, and some thyme. So we're gonna see how this tastes. I'll let you know next podcast. How do you keep a turkey in suspense? Tell you tomorrow. That's right. We are here on a very fun podcast called Mike's Daily Podcast, which...
And here's today's podcast picture.
...is not exactly daily. I try, oh how I try. It just doesn't seem to happen, but occasionally there'll be a couple in a row. Maybe we'll get lucky here at the end of the week with a lot less work stuff being thrown at me. We'll see.
Baloney.
The podcast picture is of something that happened on my birthday when we went over to Half Moon Bay. I may or may not include Rocky the kitten in this picture, because we did take Rocky to the beach, which was interesting. The late great Basil the Boxer, when we took him to the beach, he'd run around, chase sandpipers. Rocky, all he did was he clung to us like we were trees, and he was holding on to for dear life. He was not liking it at all. A bit too cold for him. There was a cool breeze blowing on my birthday, and yeah, maybe he didn't like that. But it was funny, we were walking along the beach. He was hanging on, almost falling asleep. He was just, I'm just going to hang on to these guys and whatever. They can go and enjoy themselves at the beach, and I'll just hang on to them, is what he resigned himself to do. But what happened, we go to the beach. He's hanging on to us, and I see these sandpipers running around. They're such fun creatures with their tiny little stork-like, but they're really small, tiny long legs, and then their bodies, their little round bodies, and then they run. Their little legs move so quickly, and they zoom around. They have that cute little squeak, that chirp they do. And you see those all around the beach. Well, Basil used to chase after them and annoy them, and they'd have to take off and fly away. But nowadays, I don't scare the sandpipers. I leave them be, and they seem happy, and it's my penance for all the years Basil used to chase them. So what about Fraser? Not Brendan Fraser. Yes, he's making the news these days. He's some character in a comic movie thing, and he's gained some weight or whatever. But Kelsey Grammer has revealed that David Hyde Pierce is not going to be in the reboot. It was announced several months ago that Frasier would be getting a reboot. One of the biggest unknowns would be if Niles Crane was coming back, his younger brother. Since the answer to that was a big no, the reason behind it has been much discussed, and he recently revealed that Kelsey recently revealed that David basically decided he wasn't really interested in repeating the performance of Niles. Wow. Shocking for many audiences who love the dynamic between the two Crane brothers. Kelsey Grammer's revelation about his ex-co-star is certainly making us scratch our heads, said Britta Devore of Giant Freakin' Robot. Probably one of the best website names of all time. Through MSN, this story came. Could there be bad blood between David Hyde Pierce and the crew members, or perhaps with the man, Kelsey Grammer? During an interview with Vulture, Hyde Pierce had nothing but good things to say about his time on the original show, commenting that his experience was deeply important and it was too valuable for him to say that he would never return to the storyline. However, he believes that just like Cheers, which led to the Kelsey Grammer-centered spinoff, the show's next chapter has, quote, new stories to tell, and those plot lines just don't need to center around Niles. Yeah, so he's, however, he was fine with coming back to that Netflix show that spun off of a movie. What was it called? Wet Hot American Summer. It basically was a movie that was made with a bunch of people that got popular later. I think at the time the only popular person was Janine Garofalo, but she since has disappeared slightly. But there was a young, undiscovered, unknown Amy Poehler, Brandon Cooper, and Maloney, the guy from the Law and Order franchise, and a couple other people. Lots of other people, actually. But so he was in that. I think he was in that before he got the part on Frasier. And when they did a reboot of it, or not a reboot, but they continued some of the storylines, and they actually went before, they did a prequel, yet everyone was 20 years older. You probably know all this, but Niles was there, not Niles, but David Hyde Pierce was there to reprise his character. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Trump does not have real friends at Mar-a-Lago, a Florida billionaire said to the Financial Times. Despite the atmosphere of adulation, it's all transactional, Jeff Green said. Reporters have long noted Trump's love of associating with the rich and famous. This also according to Business Insider. The Trumpets, wow, flocked to Mar-a-Lago and lavish praise on the former president. And also asked who Trump's close friends are. This billionaire said, I don't think he has any friends. Well, who cares what the media thinks, right, Trump fans? Everybody's out to get Trump. The media is always slamming Trump. So before the 2019 campaign, when Trump appeared to take offense at an attack and Green ran, the pair had a cordial relationship. But that was largely due to his wealth, Green suggested. He would come over to my table, I think because I was a billionaire. He likes billionaires. Okay. Cool. The attack. Oh. Green made a failed attempt at running for a Florida governor as a Democrat. 8 years after a 2010 attempt at the U.S. Senate. Oh, it was an attack ad that Green ran. Gotcha. Okay. They're all friends in the background. They just love lathering up the masses and having them fight. They just love that. It's like, dance, little puppets, dance for me. And finally, Chris Hemsworth. He thinks that Thor 5 should be reinvented following the release of Thor, Love and Thunder, which I did not watch. And I have not seen Black Adam yet. That one kind of interests me. Maybe the Black Panther. But we'll see. Speaking with Josh Horowitz on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. Ooh, I got to listen to that. Because what a title. The actor explained that with both Thor and Thor the Dark World being similar in tone, followed by Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder with their similarities, a fifth outing should change things up again and perhaps leave the comedic stylings behind. Hear, hear, you smart guy. Thank you. Man, that's a problem with Hollywood. They don't change up anything. They just repeat, rinse and repeat. While Hemsworth states that he would love to change things up again to keep him on his toes, audiences will no doubt have different reasons for wanting things to be different if and when Thor 5 comes around. Director Taika Waititi's Thor Ragnarok was beloved by audiences and critics for heavily leaning into comedy, but this has not been the case with the recent Thor Love and Thunder, which is now the second lowest ranking installment from the Marvel comic universe on Rotten Tomatoes. This all from MovieWeb.com through MSN. And I'm sorry, one more celebrity piece of news and gossip. Not that that's what this podcast does, is celebrity news and gossip, but I felt like it today. But Al Roker has missed his first Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in 27 years. I watched what I thought was this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on YouTube. It was actually the one from last year. And I even said to my lovely lady friend, wow, Al Roker's looking good. He's doing great. But apparently he missed today's parade. Recently, he was hospitalized. But he was all thumbs up on social media as he cheered on cohorts Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Khatibah, and made it home in time to catch some of the show and for dinner. I am pronunciating her last name correctly, maybe. Roker was replaced at the annual Thanksgiving event by Dylan Dreyer, the meteorologist who filled in as she covered the parade from the Upper West Side in New York City. Roker had been absent. Recently diagnosed, he had been admitted to the hospital with a blood clot in his leg, which sent some clot into his lungs. After some medical whack-a-mole, I am so fortunate to be getting terrific medical care and on the way to recovery. And then he said, so much to be thankful for on Thanksgiving Day, leaving the hospital and home for Thanksgiving dinner. It was interesting, a year ago, oh, by the way, Roker was diagnosed with prostate cancer back in 2020. And it was in November of that year, too, so around Thanksgiving, and underwent a procedure to remove his prostate and affected lymph nodes. But as I remember, there was no parade that year because of COVID. So that worked out. So we wish him the best. It was interesting, though, he did in watching that Macy's parade from a year ago, he was remembering Willard Scott, who had been the host of the Macy's Day Parade and had also been the chief weather guy for the Today Show. And they did a little tribute to him. But that's neither here nor there or anywhere or up there or, oh my gosh, look at all this turkey. Oh my gosh, look who else is here. Hello, my gosh, it's Madame Rootabega, and yes, I love this podcast, won't I wish it was more daily than it is. Oh, yeah, we're not as daily as we can be, or we could be, but man, like I got home last night. Well, first off, my birthday was on Tuesday, was my birthday. And then Wednesday, I had all this stuff to do to get prepared for the 4-day weekend for my job, my radio stations, the 5 of them. And then, hey, it was just lots of stuff getting ready for Thanksgiving. So no, I can't do it every day. But yes, the name of the show is Mike's Daily Podcast. Such a contradiction in terms. Do you like contradictions? Yes. Do you like confrontations? Yes. Do you like comforters? No. Yeah, comforters, man. We get a little lax with the comforters. We just throw them on the bed and then forget about them for years. Who knows what that comforter has on it. Gotta wash it more often. Oh, but I don't have a big enough washing machine. The problems with life. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the barking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Dude!
Mike, we hope you had a great Thanksgiving and birthday day.
Yeah, birthday. Dude! I did. It was wonderful. I spent it with my lovely lady friend and the cat known as Rocky. So yes, much fun. My mom would have had a birthday today. Today is the first birthday without her. And thinking a lot about her today. She would have found it interesting. She passed away on Valentine's Day this year. And the same year that her birthday would have been on Thanksgiving. She could take it or leave it. When we talked about Thanksgiving, I'm blessed to say my mom and I covered just about every topic under the sun in the 53 years that I got to spend with her. But she did not like Thanksgiving. The one story she used to say about my late dad was that the first time she really celebrated Thanksgiving was while she was first dating my dad and went over to Dad's parents' house, my grandparents. And my grandmother was an amazing cook. And she would make this wonderful gravy. And my mom took a little bite of that gravy and felt sick to her stomach. And as soon as they left my grandparents' house, she ran to the bushes and threw up. No, she wasn't pregnant with me at the time. She was just really sick. She did not like a lot of the food that was served at Thanksgiving. So she wasn't a fan. And every year I'd call her on Thanksgiving and she would complain about how awful Thanksgiving food is. So that was fun. But you know what else? I'm remembering my mom because one of her good friends, Winky, who sent her funny emails all the time. She sent this email that had some bizarre, I don't know why it was all about Italians. I don't know if Winky's Italian. I have never met Winky. But so here I will just say one of it's the myriad of hilarious pictures that have to do with Italians, and I work with a lot of Italians. But this picture is of a hand, and you know how when Italians are speaking and they do the thing with the hand, like you would you know, you have the hand turned up, but it's kind of closed, like you're gonna unscrew a light bulb maybe. And there's a picture of a hand doing that, and it says Italian speaking mode on. Once you do this, meaning doing this hand gesture, once you do this, you can speak Italian no matter what. Aw. I know all my Italian friends want me to forward this to them. I will try, everybody, but... Which, by the way, I did get some people on Facebook. Once upon a time, there'd be about 50 people wishing me a happy birthday on Facebook. Now it's down to 10. And it's kind of sad and pathetic. Not so much that I've lost so many friends, but that there are that many people still left on Facebook. I really, gosh, the whole metaverse thing, it is such an afterthought now. And I will post this podcast on Facebook, but that's about it. I'm like, get the heck off, everybody. Why? You should have gotten off 10 years ago when Social Network came out. Why is everybody still on there? Well, they're not. A lot of people are gone, so. Which leads us to our next fun part of the show, where Mike complains about things. No. Where Mike is going to take you back in time to a wonderful time when he was doing the country radio. And there was a radio station he worked for called Chely, and he did this thing called the Santa Fe Cafe. And he had a lot of fun. A lot of interesting people called in. Let's go back in time, shall we? Let's go back in time to one such moment.
Hey, Sarah Evans,
here we go.
Stand up. Look for the K Boot Scoot and Buggy and Teresa to win some great prizes.
I think I did play. Now, I have to be careful because I'm seeing some of this stuff repeating, so I'm going to try not to repeat myself. I'm trying to try not to repeat myself. And I hate when people say, again, as I mentioned earlier, again, as I repeat myself. No, don't ever tell people you're repeating yourself. It's like, then why are they listening when you're just going to repeat it later on? Am I right? So here, I need to find more of these. I'm trying to transcribe as many of these. These are things I pulled from cassettes. Cassettes do not last forever, I'm finding out. So I'm trying my best to transcribe them to WAV or some kind of digital sound form, MP3, so I can keep them forever. Anyway, Cafe Anyway, here we go back a little over 20 years ago to this radio show I was mentioning.
You want to hear Neil McCoy of the Shake?
Yeah.
Who you with there tonight?
Huh? What?
Who's with you?
My mom.
That's it? I hear a guy in the background.
Dad's my friend.
Oh. It's a friend of yours?
Yeah. And my little brother.
Oh, okay. That sounds like fun. 650 KGY.
Whenever you talk to a kid on the phone when they used to call up radio stations, you'd ask them a question and they'd always say, this was always their answer. What?
Garth Brooks, The Shake, Neil McCoy just before that. We're going to hear from Faith Hill next at the Kehei Santa Fe Cafe on 100.7 KHAY. You're in Kehei Country. My name is Matt Michaels. I'm here at the cafe, and I'm being serenaded, if you call that serenading right now. It appears. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Hello, disgruntled fiddle player. What kind of mess do you hate cleaning up? I was going to play you a song about the mess that I hate cleaning up. Uh-huh. It's when the cat coughs up a hairball. Really? I hate that. That piece I played for you just now, that is called Hairball. Yeah, you can purchase that in any record store. I've noticed that when you say that, actually I go to the record store and I can't find it.
Oh, so violent. Well, there you go. That was the early disgruntled fiddle player whom you've heard on this podcast. So now we go to this. That was Let's Go Back with Matthews, that little segment, if I forgot to mention that. Okay, now we go, here we go. We're going to a release that I received from someone who's been on the show named David G. Harmon. You can look up the interview that we did. It is on the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. Just go click on that thing that looks like a hamburger. I think they call it the hamburger. And look under interviews, look under D, and you'll find Daniel G. Harmon. But he has done a song with Lake Elsewhere and Harry Seaton, and it's called Hey Ya. Is this the not outfield? Is this that band? With the Andre 3000, the Outcast? Let's see. We'll find out.
You think you've got it, oh, you think you've got it, but got it, just don't get it till there's nothing at all.
Oh my gosh, it is. All right, so there was that. And we can also hear, let's see, Augusta. This is a band called Augusta, not Augustana, which was a pretty cool band. They had that song Boston, and somebody is sending me messages, which always drives me crazy. So, okay, this is a little song by the band called Augusta called Little Birds.
Gotta get out of this. Maybe I'm falling.
which one do you like better? Lake Elsewhere with Harry Seaton and Daniel G. Harmon, or Augusta? Call me 336-MM Daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is a Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast is a New Tunes Feud, is what this is right here. The New Tunes Feud. The Mike Matthews New Tunes Feud. And you can also tell me which song you like better by reaching me via these other avenues. And with more on that, it is A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
That was FF episode 2524, 2524. Oh, how nifty those numbers work together. 2524 to hear all the past podcasts. You can go to mikesdailypodcast.com.